Welcome to episode 9 of The Sober Stretch, the podcast for anyone with a problematic relationship with alcohol, alcoholics, former alcoholics, people thinking their drinking's getting out of control. I am Gary, and here is my friend Craig. Good morning. It is the morning. How you doing, mate?
Yes, I'm good, thank you. Nice weather. Turned to shit now. We've had our 2 days of sun. But yeah, all good. Scotland are out the Euros.
I knew you'd be happy about that, you prick.
Yeah. No, I'm all right. How are you?
Do you know what? I'm fucking glad we're out the Euros because we were embarrassingly shit. And if we were playing someone like Italy this weekend, I'd be hiding under the covers. I'm all right. Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm working at the weekend, and when I work at the weekends, I have more time off through the week. So I've had a bit of time with my kid and done a bit of beaching. Went for a fucking swim yesterday in the sea.
Nice,
All good.
buzzing. Cold water therapy and all that.
Yeah, man. It was actually it was actually not that nice a day, but the water was warm enough. So I think I'll have to wait a few months for the old cold water therapy.
It's perks of living by the sea, innit?
Yeah, man.
Cool. So today, we are going to talk about how alcohol affects your relationships with your family, friends, and just generally the people closest to you. Because, of course, it's not just you that you're affecting. It can seem like quite a selfish thing to drink because people that care about you worry about you, and it affects their life massively as well. Do you agree?
Oh yeah, totally. I think it depends how old you are, depends on the stage of your life, depends where you live in relation to your family. But I think a lot of family members particularly kind of suffer in silence because I think a lot of alcoholics, it's quite a touchy subject. So whenever it got raised in my house about my drinking, there was always tension from me. I was like, right, can we not have this conversation, please? I'm 26, I'm a grown man, and I'd be shunning people or pushing people away. So then people, because you can't actually talk about it, or the person that wants to talk about it can't get anything out of the alcoholic. I think the tension builds and the fear builds and the worry builds. I certainly assume my mum was worried about me a lot.
100%. I think anyone that loves you or has feelings for you is going to be worried, especially if they know when you're out of control, or if they know that you're a bit of a lunatic when you drink, or you can't say no. Obviously, they're going to be worried. Is it your mum mainly that it affected them? Would you say?
It's weird because since the true extent of my drinking has come out to her with Sober and Sound and this particularly the podcast, though, like Sober and Sound, my personal page is like a lot. It's kind of semi-comical because I like to have a lighter view on it. But she certainly has struggled with certain episodes of the podcast. But I told my mum, in like early February, I went back with my daughter and I said, I'm starting this Instagram account on alcoholism and sobriety. And she was like, oh, okay. And like she knew as my sobriety progressed and I opened up more, she knew that it was severe. But I don't think it's only with the podcast that she's realised just how. So it's been a hard watch and listen for her.
Yeah.
And she's often said to me, I was really glad that you didn't, from a selfish point of view, from her point of view, she was actually pleased that I didn't reveal the true extent of my drinking because she said I wouldn't have been able to cope with that. Quite a sensitive person, only child, hard gig for that for her. And I went out of my fucking way for years to try and hide it from her because I knew it would worry her.
So that's another stress in it, like on top of everything, having to hide it.
Exhausting, mate. And I get on really well with my parents, so that's even worse almost because I didn't have any other excuse to say I don't want to talk to you. But I might get a phone call on a Tuesday night, just a check-in call. They're up north, I was in London, and I wouldn't answer because I'd be mortally depressed or pissed. So there'd be like extended periods of time where I wouldn't go home or wouldn't pick up the phone, and
Yeah.
that's when the worry seeps in, definitely. But yeah, my mum was probably the one that worried as the most, but not as much as she could have done if I'd revealed everything.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, it's now in hindsight, it's a good thing that you didn't tell her. But
Hmm.
if it went the full circle and you didn't make it out of it, you ended up in a, I don't know, in a nut house, or you died from it, then she would have been like, why didn't you reach out? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's a good thing now because you managed to get yourself out of it. But
yeah, yeah. That's lucky, really. Lucky that
yeah,
I managed to get out of it. But you're right. With hindsight, the first person I should have told was her, really.
yeah,
Hi,
but
hello, woman that brought me into the world. I need your help. Oh
yeah,
no, no, fuck off! Like as if that was going to happen, you know?
yeah. But yeah, I get what you mean. Like from parents' point of view, I suppose it does make a little bit of a difference, like being an only child and that, because parents might feel partly to blame because you're like their golden boy, their wonder kid who can't do no wrong.
Yeah,
So they might take a bit of blame themselves and be like, "Fuck me, what have we done to lead him to this?"
yeah. I mean, it depends. I guess it depends on the makeup of the family. But certainly, when I was a teenager, um, like older teenager, I'd go to the pub with my dad, and I don't think it ever looked like a problem because my dad, likes a beer, but it's never, negatively impacted his life like it had me.
Yeah.
Um, so it's hard to tell, really. But certainly, if anyone's listening, I fucking hope someone is. um,
Well,
but anyone that's listening, just reach out, sister, gran, if she's young enough to take it. Like your
yeah,
mother, it doesn't matter. You are your own priority. Number one, you have to get it out there, out in
yeah.
the open. It's easier for everyone to deal with when they know what they're contending with and they know the reality. My mum 100% would have had my back hard. Like it was ridiculous for me to think that. But I was 23 or 26. I wasn't, and I don't mean this disparagingly to anyone in their 20s, but I'm 43 now. I was a baby when I was in my 20s. A kid. When I was just still worried about upsetting my mum.
Mm.
But like no matter your age, get it out in the open.
I just think
Get the ball rolling.
at 23, obviously I knew I drank a lot and that, but I just assumed that I'd grow out of it like everyone else. I just thought it was the normal thing to do when I was that age. I
Hmm.
just thought it's normal to get absolutely twisted every weekend. And in my early 20s, I could go days without drinking. But that's the start of it, isn't it? It's the start of it, because I think my mum knew that I had a problem when I was maybe like 25, and I was like,
Yeah.
"You're crazy. What you on about? Blah blah blah." But she fucking knew. Do you know what I mean?
Of course they do. If anyone knows, it's her, isn't it?
Yeah,
But you say it's like normal to get twisted every weekend. It is. That's how
yeah,
it's seen, isn't it? Everyone, it's totally normal. I
yeah.
don't really know now because I'm not in that world, but it's
No,
still
but it
seen.
is. That's what you do. If you don't do that, what the fuck do you do? What else is there to do?
Yeah,
Which is why. I mean, what else do kids do? Sit in all weekend and play their Xbox?
probably that now. Yeah.
Exactly. So it was just kind of like what we thought was the right thing to do, and unfortunately, we never grew out of it.
Unfortunately, we were really wrong.
yeah,
We got it so wrong. It was the polar opposite of what we should be doing.
yeah, yeah. No, exactly.
I think it's
But
hard though when you're in your 20s that when everyone else is caning it. And I certainly think people that are now 15, 16, I don't think they'll be caning it in 10 years like we were. Just the cultural shift and the societal shift towards alcohol. But it was so fucking normal and it was so accepted
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
it kind of prevents you from seeing it because, oh, well, everyone else is doing it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I knew I was way extreme compared to most of my friends, but I still thought
Party animal.
I'm an extreme version of what is normal.
Yeah. You're just a party animal. That's what you
Yeah.
think, don't you?
Yeah.
Like to have a good time.
What about your
But
mum then? How did it, like,
um,
was it because you were, I moved to London after I moved, I went to uni at 18, 19,
that's another thing as well. Uni.
left home.
Uni's pure drinking.
Oh, mate. Do you know what? I went to uni. My dad dropped me off my first year on a Saturday. I think I'd just turned 19, and obviously no mobile phones or anything. And I rang my mum from like this, the what do you call it? Like the payphone in the pay. It seems
Fucking
like
hell.
so long ago. From the
Yeah.
payphone in the common room on the Thursday afternoon, early evening, and I hadn't contacted her since Saturday because I just got there, and on the first night I got absolutely shit faced on gin and made a prick of myself. Not a prick of myself, but I think a lot of people were like, "Whoa, this guy's off his head." And I didn't ring her till Thursday, and she was crying. She was, "Why have you not called me?" I was like, "I'm just having a good time." You know,
Yeah.
I didn't think that I was doing anything wrong, but really, like her baby had just left home. I should have been calling her at least the first couple of days to say, "Oh, I've been to this. My first lectures were good. I've been to this, welcome meeting." Mate, I was just straight to the bar, even at 19.
Tunnel vision.
Yeah, and then so when you leave home at that age and then move to London and then I moved abroad, your kid just vanishes into some alcoholic ether,
Yeah.
or stressful.
But what? There's nothing that parents can do because
Mm.
they can't. It's like a bird flying the nest, isn't it? It's like, do they make it or do they not? What? It's out of their control. They can't. They can't keep an eye on you 24/7 of the day. You're going to end up doing what you're going to do, and it's just when you've got that young mentality, you don't know what's right and what's wrong. All your mates are going to get them flat out on that, and you're just going to do what everyone else is doing. They might have that off switch. You don't have that off switch, and you finish last. You carry on drinking where they go, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. And you just thought it was innocent. You didn't think you were doing nothing wrong, but that's what everyone does, and it just fucked you. That's what happened,
Yeah.
really.
I think a lot of, I don't know if you agree, a lot of it for me was because it was so normal, I just could brush it under the carpet because everyone else is doing it. So I think that probably prolonged or initiated it in the first place, and then prolonged a lot of my drinking because
Yeah.
I'm no worse than anyone else, which is obviously bollocks. But um,
All
yeah, in
all the
terms,
time, all the time, I could just get flat out on the weekend and still wake up and go to work on a Monday and not drink until Friday. I thought this is perfect, but then gradually it got worse over time, and I needed to have a drink on a Sunday because of the anxiety and
hmm,
shit like that. And then that Sunday turned into a big sesh, and
yeah,
then because that Sunday was a big sesh, I needed a couple on a Monday. Do you know what I mean? And then it just rolled over.
yeah,
Next minute, I'm drinking every day.
and
But
yeah, it's subtle, isn't it?
yeah,
It's not like one day you're drinking nothing and then the next you're caning it.
no,
You're suddenly allowing it to seep into every day of your life, and then, well, in my case, well, in our cases, and then it's seeping into the mornings. And when you're drinking every day in the morning, you are an alcoholic. You need fucking help. No
yeah,
one should be drinking poison in the morning before they go
no,
to work.
no.
Nope. Nobody should be drinking on a Saturday poison at 9:30, hoovering.
And you don't even want to be that guy. You don't want to be that person, but you need it. It's
Hmm.
fucking sad, and it's such a horrible place to be. Literally, going, like, stopping off at a shop on the way to work on a Monday, having a drink just so you can face it. That's poor, mate. And that is horrible. That is spine-tingling, shivering shit.
Yeah. He says, is he next
I know.
good
Sometimes
relatively good sparkling water?
Highland Spring, yeah, it's always on offer. And sometimes when I drink this, yeah, I still think of, like, yeah, see, that's cheap and cheerful, man.
It's all right. This one, it's got a bubbly punch.
Fucking hell. This is from the Scotland's hills. Get rid of that then.
If only our football team were as good as our whiskey and water.
Yeah, no. So sorry, I'm going miles off track, but yeah, with with my mum, it affected her massively because her dad was an alcoholic, like, and he ended up obviously dying from it, or he fell asleep with a fag in his hand or something, and then flat burnt down, whatever. I don't really know too much about it, but so he was an alcoholic, and I actually think that I kind of look like him. So my mum could see it in me. Obviously, when you're, what we were saying about when you're in your 20s and all my mates are going out drinking, I was out drinking, I would get more of a hard time from my mum than any of them lot would get. But that's because she's obviously seen it and she knows what it can do. It ruined her childhood, or some parts of her childhood. And there was times where, like, she heard me getting beaten up, like, in taxis, like, and things like that. Just being a pissed up idiot. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it doesn't mean anything to me because I'm steaming. I don't even know I'm getting punched. I can't. But for her to hear that her son's getting beaten up and not knowing, it's probably an awful thought. So I'm in hospital, come back, black eyed. She sees it and she's just probably replaying her childhood over and over and over again. So that must have been, I know it was hard for her, but I didn't think there was nothing wrong with it. I just thought, again, this is what happens. I said, she's got the problem. So she was saying, I've got the problem. I said, no, you've got a problem because it's normal.
Yeah, and I think that's a mother and son with a son in his 20s. It's a difficult ask for a mother to convince her baby to maybe seek help or even admit out loud that there's a problem. Because there is not a human on earth at that time that could have got me sober.
Nah.
Nobody, no one, not a chance. Relationships, romantic relationships falling apart, and
Yeah.
you're supposed to be in love or like really close to this, a girl, and you want to be with her, but the drink's more important.
Yeah.
So at that age, I think a lot of people lads particularly are so into their girls, their girlfriends, or their, whoever, that they're more inclined to do something for them than a parent. But if you're not getting sober for your girlfriend, there's
Yeah.
no chance for your parents
No.
or your mates. Like, as if your
No.
mates give a fuck. Your
Yeah.
mates are like, "Oh, are you coming out? Are you coming out tomorrow night?"
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's no one. There's no one.
No.
So if you're 24 and listening to this, I mean, it's down to you now.
Yeah.
If you know you've got a problem, you've got to, big boy pants, grab your bollocks and make a decision. But I don't think many people get sober in their 20s.
No, it would be really tough to accept that you've got a problem in your early 20s, even
Yeah.
mid 20s. It would, because it's probably hard to tell if you have got a problem. Because again, like, you're thinking all your mates do it. I started thinking or knowing that I had a problem when all of my pals started growing up and I was being left behind. That's when I was kind of thinking, shit.
Yeah.
And in your early 20s, you just think it's the right thing to do. But unless you are waking up and having a couple in the morning and that, try and try and quit while you're ahead, I suppose, because it's more years of your life, isn't it, that you're not going to ruin.
Yeah, and the years of flying fast at that age, aren't they? There's loads going on. You've got more freedom. You've started forging a career, or
Yeah,
at least working.
a head start.
Yeah, and those are the days. I completely relate to what you said. I realised sort of mid to late 20s as everyone was getting better paid jobs and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, considering putting a deposit down on a house
Yeah,
and,
kids.
doing respectable things and going on holiday even. Like I couldn't afford to go on a summer holiday for years because I just was always skint. And that would torture me seeing all these people that I loved that were good, close friends, moving forward, moving on, making a success of their lives, and I was just stagnating, just sitting in an office, like sweating, desperate for
Oh,
lunchtime so I could go and have a pint, out of control. And that's, I think that actually made me drink more because I was so fucking frustrated and down about my lack of progress that I just thought, do you know what? Fuck it. Oh, this is my
yeah,
lot. Like you talk about this a lot. This is my lot.
yeah. This is it. This is how
This
my
is who
cards
I am.
felt. Yeah,
Yeah. And you
let's
are
play the
not. You are
victim.
not that.
No, no. But you're so right. Like I remember feeling like a failure often, every day, because I was dependent on booze to make me happy, and my mates are like doing normal things, like having kids. And I couldn't even look after myself, let alone thinking about having a kid. So yeah, that's a big scare when that happens. When everyone starts moving on, like you said, getting well paid jobs, getting a job in London, you're just sat in a call centre doing fuck all. You're in a job that's miserable. You thought you were Wolf of Wall Street at one point, but you're just an absolute prat. Do you know what I mean? Grow
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
And what you said
Not
about
knobhead of Market Street, more like.
yeah, yeah, 100%. What you said about relationships and that, like with your girlfriends, alcohol, like you can have such a toxic relationship, like with your bird or with your girlfriend, and booze, like the two just, especially if you've got a problem, it's just an absolute recipe for disaster. I remember on Monday, I'd be like the neediest guy in the world. I'd be like, babe, I love you. Every 2 seconds at work, texting, love you, love you, love you, love you, love you, love you. Please don't ever leave me. All this, yeah. I'll be like, this weekend we're gonna stay in. We're not. I'm not gonna do nothing. We're gonna go out and do something and cook nice food. Blah blah blah. And I remember one time I went out on the Friday. So straight away, I fucked the Friday because I've gone straight from work, yeah? So I fucked the Friday. And then, bless her, she thought we was going to spend the weekend together. And then on the Saturday, I woke up, she's gone to work, and me being hungover, I'm like, yeah, tonight I think I arranged like for us to make like a nice homemade meal or something. Something really simple, but she would have been happy. And then she's got back from work and I'm getting changed. She's like, what are you up to? And I was like, Tottenham, Liverpool. And I've gone to the pub, had a shit night,
Yeah.
and and just wasted another weekend and like ruined her weekend as well.
Yeah.
Cruel, isn't it?
Well, at least it wasn't Barnsley Southampton. At least it was like a relatively high profile game with two attacking teams.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like, it's just we've kind of moved from family to partners now. I mean, I think it's what if you get my on-off long-term girlfriend in my 20s loved a drink and a party, and I often ended up with girls. Ended up in dating girls that loved getting smashed because I couldn't entertain the idea of dating a librarian
Nah,
because I'd get found out immediately.
but that's what you think, isn't it? Like you think anyone that don't drink is a librarian.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they
yeah,
could just
yeah.
be normal. They could just be normal girls.
You fucking loser. You care about your
Yeah,
future and your
yeah,
liver.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
pathetic. Grow a
yeah.
pair. Yeah,
Boring
but
fucker.
the toxicity between myself and the girl I was referring to, I mean, we were on and off for 5 years. And some of the, like, just the mornings, like, oh no, we did this. You know what I mean? Like, it was just this pervasive
Distraction.
destruction seeping in between both of us as well, you know, like, and the particular person, she had a lot of alcoholism in her family, um, but ultimately that ended because I was a liability, man. It was too unpredictable. It's the unpredictability for a partner. You don't know what you're going to get. You know, you like you were saying about that girl. She was expecting a nice home cooked meal, and suddenly she looks at the fixture list and thinks he's probably not going to be here. You know,
Yeah,
but again, that's something that it's like almost you have to grow out of it before you can get sober. It's weird. I can't explain it.
yeah,
I think most people will understand. But I think the tragedy is when the 20s behavior creeps into your 30s. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
how many decades do you need to rinse your life and ruin other people's before the penny drops?
I know. And at AA, I was one of the youngest there,
Same.
which again is, so we're quite fortunate. Us two, we're quite fortunate because I think we actually realised quite early that we
Hmm.
had a problem in comparison to a lot of people. We got a message, didn't we, off that guy that was saying that he was in his 40s or 50s and he's just taken up a new hobby or something, and how he's only just found out, like, in his 40s or 50s, that he can live life without booze, which is lovely, but it's also sad because you might only have 20 years of living freely.
Yeah.
So we are very fucking lucky that we found out early.
We are. I think I was the same. I was comfortably the youngest, but but like 20 years at AA. You know, there was a huge gap between being the next youngest person,
Hmm.
and that it's just when you do get sober, you think, oh my God, how fucking stupid am I? How did I not realize I can have a nice life, an infinitely better life, you know? Because I honestly thought the quality of my life, there were times where I thought, oh, I need to get sober, I need to stop drinking, but I don't want to because I'm going to miss it so much. And how am I going to have a nice time? How am I going to be not boring? All of the usual topics that come up. But I was, when I got sober, I thought, how did I think that was normal
I know.
and acceptable?
I know.
So if you're listening, if you're drinking too much in your own head, sober life is a zillion times better. It's not even a life what we had.
Existence.
Existence. That's it. Exactly. You said last week, and I listened back to it, that you're better off dead, and you're not, but you are almost. Because that was no life that we led.
Well,
That was fucking misery.
every day, every single day was a struggle. So
Mm.
in not for others that loved me, but for me, was I better off dead? 'Cause I wouldn't have to fucking struggle anymore.
Mm.
And
But
what
the solution is sobriety. That is the solution to the problem.
100%. What you were saying there is, you're so passionate about it, and I can see you're passionate about saying it, because the difference is so incredible. But when you're, how do I explain it in the right words? But when you're drinking, and you have been drinking for years and years and years and years, your body and mind will just feel like it needs alcohol to to be who you are, but you've completely lost who you're meant to be in life.
Mm-hmm.
And it is such a scary thought. It's like fear of the unknown. Like, who the fuck even am I? What will I be like without drinking? You're just going to be the same, but 100 times better.
Yeah, and the exploration of yourself as you get sober is like a joyous journey, really is, isn't it? It's like, oh wow, I'm a better human being than I thought I was. Like inherently, when I take the drink away, I'm nicer, I'm kinder, I'm less selfish, less destructive. And that I talk about momentum, we both do a lot. When you get the momentum, just the realizations are insane, aren't they? And I think a lot of people struggle at the beginning when they get sober, and maybe often pushes the relapse. Well, it's a fact, is because you're kind of trying to work out the new version of yourself, or the one that should have been. It's so scary. It's so overwhelming because you know nothing about that person, really.
No, yeah.
Because you've just masked it, hidden it all under, alcohol. You know nothing about yourself.
No. Well, think
So you've got
about
to,
it.
it's
Start
like,
drinking at 14. Start drinking at 14, 13. You've been drinking all the way to your 30.
I mean, the brain doesn't fully develop until it's 20, until a human's 28, I think.
Yes, you have no idea who you are.
So the second half of your brain development from 14 to 28 has just been distorted and mashed to fuck by daily alcohol consumption. Daily. And not just like every night in our case, like all the fucking time. Like, it's going to be scary when you finally stop. If you're a teenage smashhead and it's become a lifelong problem, yeah, the discovery is amazing, but it is terrifying.
Yeah, like, we should be living proof. Like, I'll happily put myself down to make other people realise that it is possible. I was literally runt of the litter. I was sofa surfing, fucking, like I said, living on people's sofas, and in and out of fucking jobs, no money, get universal credit for a month, get a new job, get sacked. List goes on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you wasn't much better yourself in your own way. Drinking at work, secret drinking, shit like that. It's no fucking life. So if we can do it and laugh about it and smile about it,
And talk about it publicly
yeah,
and own it.
straight up.
Like, mate, I think I've noticed a difference in the last couple of weeks, the amount of messages, or not just the amount, more the kind of the depth of the words that we're getting from people. People love the fact that we just, oh, okay, I was this. I'm going to talk about it because it eases. It's helpful for people. It eases the pain for people because we're living proof that it gets better. Imagine if all right, I'm sober 10 years. Let's go back to when we were both 25. Would you have ever imagined that you and I would be sitting here talking to each other and putting it all out there in public?
Yeah, maybe if I was steaming. No, no fucking way. No
So
way.
not only have we gotten sober, but you have to own it. You have to accept it. You have to own both things. You have to own the fact that you're an alcoholic, and you have to own the fact that you're going to get better. There's
Your
no
life
shame
will
in
get
it.
so much better.
There's
It's
go on.
can't put it into words how much better life is, and that's not me being a smug bastard. But I genuinely wake up every day. I swear on my life, I genuinely wake up every day and feel lucky. I swear on my life. And before, it was waking up and thinking, fuck. Like, that is the first thing I would think. Fuck.
Yeah, same.
roll over, see a fucking pizza box on the floor, roll over the other end, see a kebab box on the floor, and sort of fuck this, man. You know what I mean?
Really? Is this what I've become?
Treading over cans of fucking gin and that. It's just, oh mate, it's fucking horrible.
Yeah, I used to wake up like that. I used to wake up and go, "Oh God, do I really have to deal with another day?"
Yeah, and the first thing I'd think about as well is I'd think, how am I going to scrape the funds together to get some drink today?
As
Fuck,
if it's being sober isn't better, you know?
no, yeah. Fuck the car insurance, fuck the tax. How am I gonna get? How am I gonna get a tenner together? A couple of beers would be lovely.
Do you know what? Right, I've done. You know, obviously, because you follow me, but like maybe some people that listen to this don't follow Sober and Sound, my individual page. I do these reels, and they're cut. It's just a little 7-second thing of me like doing an activity or sitting down, and it says just a former alcoholic. You know the ones I mean. Um, Doing X, Y, Z, and there's always a message behind it, like I'm grateful that I'm not drinking now. And a couple of them have gone semi-viral. I don't know. One of them's got like 700,000 views nearly, and the
Fuck it,
amount of
really?
fucking grief. Yeah, man, the amount of fucking grief I'm getting on them, it just blossomed out of nowhere. They're like, "Oh, you're such a fucking smug little prick," or you.
Yeah, mate.
There's no context. I think they see that because they're going semi-viral. They're popping up on strangers' pages and they're going, "Oh, look at this prick! He's been sober for 6 weeks and thinks he's special."
Yeah.
But I just can't. I mean, I don't care actually. I thought it would affect me. And my mum will send me a message. And go, "Oh, did you see that comment?" Or Gabby will say, "Oh God, I got really upset about that comment." And I thought it would bother me. And I just like
You can't
empath-
let it.
empathetic towards them. They are the ones with the problem.
Yeah, it's it's just like hating, isn't it? It's bitter, and there'll be a reason. To be honest with you, I actually feel quite sad for them because they're obviously struggling themselves with something.
I've adopted that approach. Yeah.
I used
Um,
to I used to be like that. I used to be like that when, because you know when we said about our mates improving in life and going forward, this, that, and the other, I would be bitter and I'd be like, yeah, fuck that, and try and fault something in them.
mhm.
I wouldn't tell them obviously, but I would try and find a fault because I'd be embarrassed of who I was. So it'd be like defending, like defense mechanism. So you can't. We don't do this to. I know you don't, and I don't do this for any clout or to be like, oh, look at me, I'm doing a podcast. I don't want to be a preacher or anything like that. But for me, it's like this is a good way of healing in a way. I'm not a
Mhm.
spiritual guru, but for me to talk about it to you, number one, I enjoy it. I find it funny for some reason. I don't know
Yeah.
why, but I find it funny. And
Same.
and the fact that it genuinely actually helps people is just incredible because it's such a dark place. But I don't do this for any other reasons. I'm not being funny. Our most watched videos got 200 views. Yeah, we're not doing it to be fucking. I'm this. I'm that. I'm better than you. It's literally just to help people know that there is so much more to life than being miserable and addicted to the bottle. You know.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone that listens to us or watches us could accuse us of being
Don't know
doing it.
about you. Look at your reels.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Anyone that has gotten to know us through social media and enjoys our content. No one out there is going, "Oh, look at these two smug pricks." Most of them are like, "Wow, these guys are great because they just speak from the heart and they say it like it is." I think that's our appeal. I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
And that's certainly Sober and Sound's appeal. Messaging from people going, I got a message yesterday from a woman that runs a magazine, and she wants to interview me because she finds my individual content funny and light-hearted around addiction and recovery.
Yeah.
Well, I've been sober for 10 years. I am light-hearted. My life isn't a pitiful mess now, so I'm happy, and I'm happy to take the piss out of myself
Yeah.
because I'm comfortable in my own skin. because I've not had a drink for 10 years and 2 months. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, if they are, I wouldn't really care anyway. There'll be people that you used to drink with and stuff like that, and they'll think that you've turned your back on them and shit like that. But who gives a fuck? If your life is better, you have to look after yourself. If your missus and your kids' life's better, who gives a fuck? You can't worry about fucking Gary from down the boozer or Steve from down the pub. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, with all the 80s names, Gary,
Mm.
Clive, and Graham, you know.
That's it. Yeah, just stereotypical pub
Yeah, can you
drinkers.
imagine?
What other relationships did it affect for you then? Did you have? Is there any other alkies in your family at all?
No, no.
Oh, so you're the only fuck up.
Yeah. My family's quite small, but mum was an only child. Grandparents, no, just kind of. Ironically, my mum's parents ran off licenses in Glasgow in the 50s, 60s, 70s. Good place to sell booze.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
plenty
fucking
of
hell.
customers. But no, neither of them, ironically, had an issue with alcohol. So no, I don't know. It's just one of those things. But I would say we've discussed family, discussed partners, and I guess the next obvious one is friends. And I just always felt ashamed of some of my behaviour or what I'd said to people. It wasn't always my friends; it was like their friends. Say, imagine we go out on a Saturday night, and my mate brings a couple of their mates from work that I don't know, and if I don't like them very much, you bet your bottom dollar by 10:30 I'm telling them.
Yeah, straight up.
And then it just create. That's what I'm like. I'm very very blunt, and
Yeah,
the inhibitions with the drink were like,
yeah. But
like,
which is sad as well because you wouldn't even have the bollocks to do it without a couple of drinks. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so what did you end up falling out with friends and stuff over booze or anything like that? Or
do you know? I mean, yes, but I would always be forgiven. I was like one of the when I lived in London, I acquired a new group of friends through my living situation, and I introduced them to my friends from school that had moved down to London. So I was a bit like, in some social situations, the glue that bonded two groups of people together, and I'd introduced everyone. And then
yeah,
some of my mates from uni moved to London, so I was like a central part of it. I was quite a outspoken, loud character. So I would say I was a dominant person in my group of friends.
yeah, I get you. So people wouldn't want to. They would never want to say, "Look, Gary, I think you need to tone it down a little bit."
It wasn't that. I mean, bear in mind it was like the early 2000s, so a lot of people were like on it as well. But I was also popular, and I was a nice person, sober, and I was well liked. You know,
Yeah,
so. But I think a lot there'd be occasions where on a Monday I'd go to work and I think I can't believe I've upset a person that I like so much. But he's just
yeah,
saying some shit I didn't even remember, and then when I found out what I'd said, I didn't even mean it.
yeah. No.
It's just a projection of all
Well,
the
you say,
saying shit about myself, but just using it, taking it out on other people.
yeah. The thing is, as well, it's like when you're drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking, you're looking for the next buzz, and if you're kind of getting bored, you might want to just fucking mix it up a little bit and just drop
Yeah.
some bombs. You know what I mean? Just to cause
Mate,
some animosity,
that was
spice it
totally
up.
me. Have you seen Train Spotting?
I don't know. I've heard of Train Spotting so many times, but I can't remember it. But I'm shit with films.
Fair enough. Well, there's a scene in it. For those that have seen Trainspotting, there's a scene where Begbie, played by Robert Carlyle, who's the fucking head case in the film, he's in a pub in Scotland, in Glasgow, and they're on the top floor. Imagine a Weatherspoons, it's like 2 floors, huge pub, and he just gets a pint glass and he just chucks it over the thing just to see what's going to happen.
Yeah,
And then the pint glass lands on someone's head and everyone starts fighting, and he's just
yeah,
sitting
yeah,
there
yeah,
observing and laughing about it. I wasn't like that. I wasn't chucking pint glasses at people's heads, but with my mouth, I would always say something
yeah.
that would create some kind of. I
Spice it up.
always had like extreme things to say, like outrageous criticisms or horrible shit coming
Same,
out of my mouth.
same. I was like that. I was like that, and that's also because we would have been unhappy as well.
Of course, yeah. Like, I didn't mean any of it.
No,
Maybe some of it, but
I never really had. I think because we're men and we're drinkers, and all of our friends were drinkers. A drinker will understand that you can say things in the heat of the moment and not mean it, especially after a few beers. You know,
mm.
there was one thing that nearly fully woke me up, and that was when again I was living around one of my friend's parents' house. This wasn't actually even that long ago. This was probably about 3 or 4 years ago, and I then took my laptop to my other mate's house to work, and I'd done a big deal, and I finished up for the day, and then went straight to the pub, and me and him had a few drinks, and then we got fucked, and then after a while, he just out of nowhere was like, "What the fuck are you doing with your life?" He goes, "You could make so much money," and he just couldn't believe that my first thought was to go to the pub, and yeah, we had a, and I was like, "Who the fuck do you think you're talking to?" Blah blah blah. Why the fuck are you saying that? And it cut deep a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Because someone had picked up on it that I was a waster,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, "Fuck." So that almost woke me up, but it didn't because I carried on drinking. But I didn't like being told that I was an alcoholic. Basically, I hated being told that. It pissed me off. And I'm like, who the fuck do you think you are? How would you know? Well, it's obvious you're drinking in the morning, you nutter.
Yeah. It's amazing how blind an alcoholic can be.
Yeah, proper.
So when you do get sober, like, you have to own it to make up for your hiding for so long.
Mm.
In my support chat group that I've got on Sober and Sound, and I don't like to claim these things as my own. So this morning, quite often wake up in the morning and someone said "morning all," and then it just like sparks off some chit chat, and everyone's real tight with each other now. And one person had said that they'd kind of owned their newfound sobriety and they'd revealed it in their public on their private, like they created an Instagram page to an accountability thing for themselves to get
Yeah,
sober, and they were ashamed of that account at the beginning, but now they've revealed it to their friends because they're more proud of being sober than they are ashamed of
yeah,
being a drinker, and I really relate to that.
yeah. Same. It's nervous. It's nerve wracking. But this goes back to what you said earlier. Just accept it and seek help. People don't want to accept it and they don't want to seek help, so they'll suffer for longer and longer and longer. The accountability thing that you can do on Instagram, that's if that works for someone, that's amazing. But and that person would have been so uncomfortable at the start, and now they are going to be proud because it's probably the biggest achievement of their life.
Mm-hmm.
Their whole life is turned around.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like the biggest achievement in my life. People say, "Oh, you're a father now." Like, I'm proud of how I raised my daughter, but to me, that's an obvious responsibility that I must, live up to. I'm 43 years old. I'm sober. How am I not going to be able to raise my kid properly? My biggest, I would say, the thing I'm most proud of was getting sober because that was way more challenging than becoming a dad. Like, incomparable. I remember when my partner told me she was pregnant, I was like, oh, amazing. I wasn't like, oh my God, how am I going to deal with this?
Well,
But if someone had said to me, right, you have to get sober, to being like, where do I even
yeah.
begin?
Well, if you've overcome addiction, I'm sure this could be any addiction. You've got some fucking bollocks on you. Do you know what I mean?
It's
You've got some
superhero shit,
character.
man. Superpower.
So So for your missus to tell you that you've got a kid on the way, you're just going to lap it up because you feel strong as fuck.
I've felt
Yeah,
very strong emotionally and mentally for a long time now, and that's the best thing about being getting sober.
100%.
You have to fight that discomfort.
Do you remember?
There's no sobriety without discomfort at the beginning, so you only get more resilient from it.
Do you remember feeling as though you would never be able to enjoy a conversation with someone unless you were drunk?
Enjoy or carry out a good one?
Both. Even tolerate, even listen to someone. Seriously. Seriously. I
I don't
I
know. I
got
didn't
to
feel like that. I think you and I are slightly different around that topic. No, but I did think that my life would be boring as fuck and
yeah,
shitter for not
I
drinking.
wouldn't even enjoy a conversation. Like
Wow.
a drunk conversation would be so much better for me because I'd have this false confidence, and I'd be this complete different bloke who thought he was a mutt's nuts and that.
Mm.
Really just a fat twat. But I remember like becoming sober and then just enjoying talking to people about normal things,
Mm.
and that was quite an eye-opening thing for me.
Well, I think a lot of the conversations you have when you're drunk, you think are profound at the time. And you make these. Sometimes you meet strangers and you have these profound drunk conversations, like,
Oh, you
"Wow,
put the world
what
to
an incredible
right.
person!" And you're like, and then you get sober and you're in someone's kitchen, sober at midnight, and two people are talking profoundly, and you're like, "What the hell are you on about?" Sound like such a pair of bellends.
Yeah. Even people that still drink now, though, will still say they fucking hate being sober in a pub and listen and talking to people because you just feel like you get pulled from pillar to post of bullshit. But I went to the pub to watch England, actually. When was that? Tuesday.
Done well not
And
to have a drink, mate.
I think I needed one. And it was actually all right. Obviously, the game was horrendous, but I didn't struggle too much because when people were half cut and that, not too bad, can tolerate it. But then when people are fully fucked, I need to get out of your eyesight because I can't deal with the shit you're about to unload on me.
Yeah.
What's worse than drunk conversations is coke
Coked up.
conversations, mate. Fucking hell. Fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Absolute gibberish, mate.
Yeah.
Absolute fucking intense gibberish.
Yeah. Oh, nothing worse. What a combo. Intense gibberish that you have
I
to
know.
listen to because it
I
just
know.
happens to be in the room. It's like,
I
fuck
know.
off.
I know. I think that's us, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. I mean, we love you all and we want you to get sober. We wouldn't be doing it otherwise. But just be aware that if you've not had the wake up call yet, it'll come one day and it'll be scary and it'll be worse than if you quit now.
True story.
Like, really? I had no idea there was so much until I started Sober and Sound, and then I discovered that alcohol's linked to 7 types of cancer and it's a carcinogen. I was like, fucking hell, I'm glad I quit when I did.
Yeah. That
And
wouldn't have scared me if someone told me that, though.
not when I was drinking, but
Nah.
no, I wouldn't have been. Well, yeah, I see what you mean. I'm contradicting myself. No, yeah, it's just shocking to think that we defined our lives by necking poison.
I know, mate. I know. But there is hope for every single one of you.
There is hope, and we are rooting for you. And also, I wanted, and I know you're the same. I'd like to thank everyone for all the messages that we receive.
Yeah.
It's not unnoticed, and we do appreciate the backing and support that we get and the love. And we are right behind you all. So DMs are always open.
Yeah, I love the messages.
Yeah, man,
It's
it's all
so nice to
worthwhile.
read. So nice to read. to know that someone gets something out of the stuff that we talk about, just being ourselves, is lovely.
It's lovely.
It
Right.
is.
We've both got a day off today. Enjoy yours. Craig, where can people find you specifically on Tinternet?
I'm on Instagram at livewithoutlimits_coaching, and that is how exercise in particular helped me become sober, personal training, all that shit.
Awesome. Your page is wicked, man. I love how honest it is.
Thank
you. I'm on sober and sound, sober letter N sound. More importantly, you can find us at the Sober Stretch on Instagram. We're also on YouTube and Spotify. Follow us, share us, subscribe, do all the necessaries, and long may this sober journey continue.
Ledge.
Peace.
Have a
Take
good
care,
one.
man. You
Cheers,
too, mate. Bye.